I'm recording.
Hello. As all of you know, my name is Bobby Ball, and you're participating in my communications class project. Today I'll be sharing with you some of the research I've done, my personal experience with solid surface material. According to a recent article that I read about interior design in Lifestyle magazine, actually surface material was originally intended to be used as a substitute for human bones. Since its invention, solid surface material has consistently shown itself, though, to be a product that bridges the gap between stone, with all of its durability, and wood, which is renowned for its workability. Today I'd like to share a little bit of the history of solid surface material, show some of the unique properties which have caused me to come to appreciate it, and also explain some of the different uses that may not be apparent in a home setting. If you go back to the 1960s, DuPont Chemical Company was instrumental in bringing this product into existence. A group of research scientists actually brought the trade name Corian with DuPont Chemical Company and obtained a patent in 1968. It wasn't until 1971 that they were able to bring it and make its debut on the national scene at a trade show in Texas. A lot of curiosity about the material, and actually, as they explained, it's composed of both natural and man-made materials. The natural part is from bauxite ore. It's aluminum trihydrate, or ATH, which is a clay-like substance. And as you may know, bauxite ore is what aluminum is obtained from also. After the ATH is processed, a liquid resin is added, either polyester or acrylic, and then pigment so that it obtains its characteristic color. At the time of its debut, there were only 4 different colors available, so rather limited, especially compared to now, where over 100 different colors are available. Incidentally, in order to get those 100 colors, there are 9 or 10 different manufacturers who also offer their version of solid surface material. Although DuPont was first in bringing the product to market. And actually, Corian, their product, is kind of like Kleenex is to tissues. Corian is to solid surface material. Some of the unique properties which caused me to really have an affinity for this material, as you see here in the sample that I have, one of them is that it's homogeneous. And by homogeneous, I mean from the top of the material to the bottom of the material, and then all the way even through the side. You can see that it's consistent in its composition all the way through. This means if it's dinged or scratched, that it can actually be repaired. You don't have to, you can redo the top surface. You don't have to throw it away or replace it. It's also very heat and fire resistant. It can be scorched with too hot of a pot, but because it's made of this clay-like material, it has a water content, so if it catches on fire, if it's subjected to fire, it actually will release steam and assist in putting out the fire perhaps. It's a very non-porous material, which means that it's easily sanitizable. It doesn't support the growth of mildew or mold or bacteria. Another thing which has really caused me to have an affinity for it is that it's very machine workable. And that's the case even with common woodworking tools. Which allowed me to be able to have some personal experience with this in our home and putting countertops in. It does require some, there's a learning curve, and it does require some attention to detail and a little bit of trial and error, but even for someone with limited exposure to industry training, it is possible to get a very nice finished product. In fact, interestingly enough, Joanna Dugan wrote an article called A Solid History, reviewing 40 years of solid surface in the Surface Fabrication magazine, a trade magazine, and most fabricators for solid surface material actually got their start in woodworking shops, so I found that quite fascinating. One of the things with regard to that is that you can see from the straight edges of this material that with a mirror edge on here, it can be seamlessly joined with a colored match glue that they use in the industry. You can't even see it. Just the seam just literally disappears, and that's in a very attractive quality for it in a consumer environment. Speaking of the consumer environment, although it really is probably most well known for its use in countertops, it also is used in sinks. They form it into sinks for cutting boards. Shower enclosures, they use a different thickness than this half-inch material, but also window sills. For the commercial applications, it's finding a very wide usage and acceptance in shelving, flooring, conference table, and they're even using it on the exterior of buildings as cladding. One use that I find particularly interesting is because it is so easily sanitizable, it's being used in operating rooms, and I think that's a very good use of the material. One other property that makes it very endearing and I think very versatile is the fact that it can be thermoformed. This particular sample was placed in our household oven for about 15 minutes at 300 degrees. And it was bent into this shape, and then with just clamping in and keeping it in that shape as it hardened, it retains that form, and it retains all of its characteristic strength and properties as a material. So you can see the possibilities for this are very endless. Of course, it's hard to do that on a household scale in that way, but on a much smaller scale it is possible. Also too, you know, as you look at solid material and its use, I think that really you can see from the things that we've talked about today that in the 40-year history it has, which is relatively short history for building material, I think it's found its place as a very versatile and unique material to be used. I believe that has positioned it well for use well into the next century. You know, in our family we have a history of arthritis, some of it very disfiguring, and sometimes I think if maybe things had turned out a little bit different with solid surface material, it may have even played a bigger part in our lives than it does. But I guess for the time being we're just going to have to be content with letting it stand as countertop material in our home. Thank you very much.